Hello, it's Wednesday. I just finished live stream and then I forgot to plug my my headphones in. So we're redoing this. It's going to be a little shorter this morning. So yesterday we had a risk on market, and then this morning it looks like it's flipping potentially to a risk off. But yesterday gold went huge, and then this morning it looks like it's continuing that. Semis went huge yesterday. Now it's basically taken half of that. So we're seeing the movement go towards tech being sold into to potentially backfeed energy, gold, those type of trades this morning. So XLU flipped, XLP flipped. So cyclicals are leading, but if you look at the volume, the biggest volume would be XLU, and then all of the others are just kind of thin volume. So we're just kind of seeing things rotate out. Let's look at, let's see here. Bonds are flat. Defensives, energy and gold and crude are all bidding, but tech's fading. So we're watching energy into the market. XLE looks like it's made the round trip. We got in pretty early on that rotation, not all the way at the bottom of it, but kind of halfway once we saw the strength on that. We had a price target at 58.86 and pre-market. The thing's well above that, testing the June 10th and June 3rd closes. So I think the RSI is pretty high. We're seeing thin volume. So, we're well beyond our price target. We're going to put a stop in at that target, see how it moves in the first 15 minutes, and then unwind that this morning. And then also want to call out EUFN. This is a really interesting European-financials ETF. This came along on Twitter, and this was really cool to look at. So this came out 16 years ago, and let's see. When it first came out, it went up and went down, and it really just kind of bounced around in this trading range for about 16 years. And then March of this year, it went up, bounced out of that range, tested below for support from the previous high from September of the previous year, hit the 200-day, bounced back, and now we're seeing flight out of that. So this is a really interesting setup. If you look at the recent play, the recent move since January this year, went up, tested the 200, and continued to hit this like 39.30 area. And then most recently, it bounced out of that 39 area, went up, liquidity stop hunt to see if there's support on low volume, and then continue to consolidate. So this is like a textbook breakout. This is really, really awesome to watch, and we're going to be looking at that this morning. If you go through, looked at some currency pairs this morning. Looks like Australian dollar, US dollar is just kind of consolidating, hitting the 200-day and trying to continue up. It's looking like a really good structural short on our side, so we're going to be watching that, potentially seeing a short. Our British pound to USD has completed the round trip short from the 16th, so about a week. Liquidity grab at the top, ran everybody out, and we followed this from 135 to 133. So we'll be posting that on X to run through what the actual R value was on that. That was a fun trade. We trailed the stops the whole way, and we published that on Twitter the moment we got into it. USJPY. This is a really cool chart. And let's see. USDJPY. So we're seeing a lot of strength. And this is continuing. This is basically, where's this up? That was 4 hour. Okay. So if you look at the daily, This has completed a round trip from July of last year. Actually, no, July of 2 years ago. Wow. This is a 2-year round trip that's finally hitting that high, broke through it, and recently the daily's looking great. Did some consolidation, some liquidity up and down, and then yesterday on Tuesday, we had a massive kind of higher volume, but low volume candle. And then yesterday, a low volume liquidity sweep. So we're going to be watching this for some potential longs, depending on what the 4-hour looks like. And if you scroll down to the 15, yeah, that's really interesting. So real nice liquidity sweep on Wednesday this morning about 3:30, Asian session, and we'll probably do a long at some point on this. So that's looking really fun. And let's check out TRV. We're looking at a potential high tight flag. We've been watching this every day since the earnings news to see if there's any legs on this. So far, it's just kind of hanging out, seeing who's buying, who's selling. So we'll be watching that this morning. What else we got? We moved some stops in the book this morning. We moved SPSC, and the reason for that was at a high volume upthrust candle, pre-market's flat. We moved the stop up to the previous breakout candle to our entry. And then the next one was PBI. I think we're locking some profit in on that. And the reason being we're seeing a high volume and decisive candle. Pre-market's flat. I don't want to ride this out all the way. I would expect it to test the 18 range. I don't want to wait and do a double test there. So if you look at the signals this morning, what's interesting is we're seeing a lot of banks come through getting bid up, and we got into banks through one of our strategies. We got in at 53, it's out 56, so we still don't have a sell signal on that. And as a result, we're now seeing banks getting bid up to complement that, which is always good to see. The sector rotation still shows XLE as a buy. And then if you look at the sell for this morning is XLI. So let's see, which makes sense. That's looking like a sell, looking like it's breaking down. So the strategies are working. And then let's see, I think it's about it. Absorption spring on Novo, which is interesting because we got into that a couple days ago. And then let's look at gold real quick. If you look at the daily, we're still in markdown. And if you look at the 4-hour, it's trying to form a breakout. I would most likely short this thing. We're riding up to the line on higher volume, but it's kind of going out there. So I would probably short this thing. And then if you look at the 15, it's trying so hard to get out of this range. It's really just consolidating. But yeah, I would we're probably going to be shorting this depending on how the morning opens there. Euro USD continues to coil down, and we're watching for like a break below the recent congestion. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so this is a short one. I did a real long live stream, and then I did not plug my microphone in, which is a bummer. And yeah, so if you're using SignalDeck, you'll be able to log in, you'll be able to do the morning macro view where it's kind of telling you what it was yesterday and what does it look like this morning, which will help any of your short-term trades. So always look out for that. And then if you're an elite member, you'll have access to the strategies. So that would allow you to kind of have a better view of kind of where things are going, depending on where your book looks. And yeah, pretty good. Not a lot of news going out. Seen some Bitcoin stuff fly by, and then tomorrow we have an ECB decision that will affect the euro, so we'll be looking at that tomorrow. But yeah, have a good one.